Good morning. What is up, people? This is a strange introduction because it's me, but it's not our cup of tea. It is the UWS Kickoff show. I'm joined by Kaylor. How are you doing this morning?
I am absolutely buzzing for today. I'm so stoked. Woke up Saturday morning, got an old cup of Joe, and I was like, God, let's talk about this summer of soccer because this is a fun week.
Yes, this has been crazy, and we are so excited to bring you all of the latest and greatest news of the UWS. Now, Jonathan and I had the UWS recap show on Tuesday, which was the first episode of the recap show. We were super excited. So, in there, we kind of gave you a lowdown of all the matches, and today we're going to be chatting some more. So, we're going to kick off with, excuse the pun, seeing as it is the kickoff show, with our recaps from last week. Kayla, what game had your attention?
I mean, it kind of had to be the Foothills versus Blue Heat. I I think judging by last year and judging by how things were going, in my mind, even though it's so hard to do, I just assumed that they were going to go undefeated. Uh, and then, they just Foothills decide to come in and be like, no, 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 not so fast, my friend. I mean, that is their, 4 wins in a row, 4 from 4, proving to be a
Yeah.
quality team. Maya Jones gets a goal in the 30th minute, and Sarah Dilling, she just made big saves. Like she made 6 saves, but they weren't just like, oh, right at the keeper saves. These were real deal, like having to go pick one out. I mean, this was just an all around great performance by Foothills. And if you're Blue Heat, I mean, it was a good performance by them. If you watched it, they looked good, but you have to be licking your wounds just a little bit.
Right. That's the thing is Blue Heat in no way played bad in this game. They just didn't have that final piece, which is scoring a goal. And that is really what you need in soccer in order to secure those 3 points. You can play great soccer, but if the ball doesn't go in the back of the net, you don't win. And that's what Foothills did. They took their opportunity. And I mean, what an incredible moment for them. That was the first time that they had beaten SC Blue Heat on the road. So, an incredible moment in their club's history. And yeah, now this West Division, we've got Calgary Foothills sitting atop the West Division, 4-0 record. SC Blue Heat, the reigning UWS champions, in that second place, 3 points behind Foothills now with the 3-1 record. And then FC Arizona, they've played 2 games so far and also with a perfect record. So it's heating up over in this West, and I'm really, really excited for it.
When I watched this match back, I I God, shut up, Harry. I whenever I watched this match back for the first time, I think ever in watching a Blue Heat match, their speed got neutralized a little bit. I That's the one thing that they say it in football, American football all the time that speed kills matchups. Like you can, if you're even, but someone's faster, the faster man wins, the faster woman wins. That didn't
Right.
happen against Calgary, and Calgary doesn't necessarily have the fastest back line. It was just brute force. We're not going to let you beat us, and not in the we're going to sit back and defend all game, but just the you will not beat us. It was an
Yeah.
impressive display.
It was like the mentality that they had going into that game to be a part of their preparations. I just think would have been really fun because they looked like such a collective team who knew what they had to do to go into this game. And Katie and I have been talking, and we're like, we almost wish that 2 teams could go from every division to the Nationals because these 2 teams are just so high quality. I mean, I would love to see them play some cross-country matchups against the likes of the Mustangs, FC Buffalo. Like, there's going to be so many exciting matchups of cross divisions that I really hope we're able to see.
Could you imagine also maybe a local derby in the championship game? That would be electric.
Yeah, that would be wild. So the game that caught my attention was a Friday night game from June 10th. It was Lancaster Inferno versus Paisley Athletic. And the two teams went into week 5 knowing it was going to be a very tough weekend. They played each other on the Friday and then on the Sunday of that weekend. And the two teams had already played each other at the beginning of the season, where Lancaster Inferno won by a very tight score of 1-0. So since that game, way back at the start of the season, Lancaster and Paisley have gone in two very different directions. Lancaster have won out, and Paisley are yet to secure 3 points going into that week 5 weekend. And that weekend was no different, as Lancaster took all 6 points in Friday, winning 3-2, and on Sunday winning 1-0. But Paisley really did take it to the Inferno, and those games were both epic. So I want to talk about this Friday night game because the first chance actually fell to Paisley Athletic, but Elliot Breach came up with a huge save, and that seemed to be that wake-up call for the Inferno as they very quickly lit up. In the 10th minute, Madison scored a fantastic volley off of a cross. Mm-hmm. Then Marissa DeGenova scored straight from a corner, just curling it low into that back post to make it 2-0. And Paisley were a little bit stumped. Going in at halftime, Inferno had that 2-0 lead. And then very quickly, after the restart, less than a minute in, they made it 3 goals. Jackie Richards notched her 8th goal of the season. So she's up there amongst the goal scorers in the UWS. And despite creating chances in the first half, Paisley were, at this point, losing 3-0. Fans are thinking, is it over? Like, can they come back from this? And credit to Paisley because they did not give up. Otan Decker-Lackey found herself through and goal in the 53rd minute and hit a sweet left foot volley, half volley it was actually, into the far corner. And suddenly it was 3-1 and it was kind of like, okay, game on. And Paisley continued to fight hard and they were rewarded with a goal in the 65th minute as Nicolette Dries found the Inferno goalkeeper kind of off her line and took her chances, firing one from distance. And it went in. And for the final 25 minutes, it was a back and forth affair. I really wondered if Paisley were going to be able to pull it out of the bag. But the Inferno did hold on. And they have maintained their perfect record and position at top of the Mid-Atlantic Division. So Mid-Atlantic Division, it's a close one up there. I feel like the results are always very much 1-goal games or 2-goal games.
Yeah, I mean, you and I were kind of talking pre-show just a little bit. It's like this is a week of blowouts except for the Mid-Atlantic Division. I mean, they're always just so close. I mean, you kind of talked about it before. Like, there's just goals galore in the East. But the thing about this Mid-Atlantic Division is that they score their goals. They're going to get their goals. But it's not even like back lines are bad. Their finishing is just about as clinical as it gets. These teams score and they go blow for blow with each other.
Yeah. So that Sunday game, I felt like you could kind of see a little bit more of the tired legs. And so we didn't get that epic like 3-2 game, but it was still a very close battle and finished that 1-0. So Paisley, I do want to give Paisley a shout out real quick because they are a really, really good side. They just haven't like been able to get the results. I think we might touch on it. I do think in their midweek game, they might have got their first win. I'll need to check. But they I feel like they're coming into it. They're definitely a strong roster and they're kind of finding their feet at the UWS level in what we know is a very, very tight conference.
You know, the whole saying of like close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. Like, I get that, but I mean, Paisley, they have 5 losses on the season now with a goal differential of only a -4. I mean, that just shows you how freaking competitive they've been.
Yeah.
It's not, they don't have any blowout losses. They have been in every single one of their matches. And at some point, if you're a player, you're having to think, what the heck is going on? Why can't we get the final result? But they just got one. Maybe this is the point, things can start turning around. Maybe it's too late to win the conference or win their division, but this is going to be the kind of thing that you can build on going into next year.
Yeah, 100% agree. And they did get their first win of the season on Wednesday. They took down New Jersey Copa, who have really kind of been struggling this season. kind of shocking. They did quite well last year. They're a solid team, but just not clicking for them. And this could be that turnaround point for Paisley, as they've now been able to see out a full 90 minutes, because that's where it comes in. It's that consistency. Soccer is a long game. You can't just play for 45 minutes. We've seen it with Inferno, like 45 minutes of solid soccer, 46 even if you count that first minute of the second half where they scored 3 goals. But game's not done. 3 goals sometimes is not enough to win a game. And so Paisley, I think, could be seeing that turnaround point for this season. Like you say, probably too late to be in contention, but it's exciting for next year.
I mean, obviously, they, a little bit of a spoiler. They did drop the next game that they had yesterday, but again, it was a close match against a Coppermine team, which we talk about from time to time, but personally, I don't give enough love for, because they're not necessarily the most exactly like sexy team to watch, but by God, they always go out there and get the result. And I need to start giving that a lot more credit than I do, because I don't know, that Coppermine just continues to go out there and do the dang thing.
Yeah, it's true. And before we head into those midweek matchups that we've seen, we are going to, hopefully, if technology is on our side, take a look at the Goals of the Week nominations. So let me pull this up for us. So this week, coming out of the UWS, we had the Week 3 nominations and the Week 4 nominations. So Week 3, Goals of the Week. I mean, that's pretty fire, if you ask me. The poll was very, very close. Kaylor, what did you think?
I mean, there's a lot of bangers. I they that sometimes this league just has the ability just to do something crazy. Whenever we put out these goal of the weeks, I know this is always your favorite time of the week, but my goodness, like I'm a little bit biased here. I do love the free kick from FC Birmingham, because like that's not a far little chip. That wasn't exactly a little dink over the keeper either. That was a real deal on a rope, put it where you want. It was a
Right.
really good goal to see.
It was. I almost feel like, because when I'm looking at the polls, the FC Birmingham poll or voting one is the one that came in 4th place for Week 3. However, I'm thinking that's the presence of FC Birmingham on social media being unjust to the goal of Hooton, because yes, I totally agree. That was an epic free kick, and I just don't think that she got the attention from her fans in that region to help boost her on that vote. Now, for me, it's got to be Lawrence with CT Fusion. That one was, like, what a banger. I voted for CT Fusion in that one, but it was Charisma Katrona who came out on top with the goal of the week with the most votes. She had 35% of the votes, and very deserving. I mean, Katrona is so clinical in front of goal, but she's also amongst the assists as well. She's a very well-rounded player. We've talked about her a lot, both last season and this season, and she's showing that consistency by being amongst it in both seasons as well. So credit to her.
The one that it's obviously, like you said, it was a very close vote, but Storty, that to me is probably the most impressive overall goal, just because the ability in speed, in stride, don't slow down, take it past your defender, go to your left at a very, wide angle to beat a keeper at the near post. I mean, that was good positioning by the keeper. She just got beat. And it was just a really impressive goal all around. It really showcased a good dribbling, good composure, and just clinical finishing.
Yeah, credit to to her because that was an awesome finish. I feel like the video of that goal really did her credit because we got to see that build up too. So like you say, yeah, it displayed not just her ability to finish, but what skills and attributes she possesses that allowed her to get into that position. Are you ready for goals of the week, week 4?
I am stoked. Let's do this.
Here we go. This is tough. Okay, for me, all of them are bangers. Firstly, just have to put it out there. Everybody needs to know that all 4 of these are bangers. However, for me, it comes down to 2. It's between the first goal from Cross of Erie Commodores and Roma McLaughlin from CT Fusion. What are you thinking, Kayla?
The moment I saw it, McLaughlin was the one that stood out to me. I think that this is one of those situations that you wish you had the behind the goal footage like you kind of do with the Athenians, because you don't get the full appreciation that she went far post with that. That is top corner far post. Was so good.
And the touch as well that set her up for that strike was just unreal too. That is a high quality finish. I would have loved to have like a GoPro up in the net and like as the ball like hit it, you would just see it like absolutely go wild because the amount of power that she had. But I also love that goal from I think it's Kylie Cross, Kylie Cross, of Erie. If anybody knows me, you know that I live for those curled ones right into the top corner because I just think they're epic. Like they're so satisfying. And so I think for me, I'm going to edge slightly towards Cross. But McLaughlin's was awesome too. And I know the Athenians have been going crazy voting for Wanamaker. And then Jackie Richards, she's always up there. I feel like she comes in every week. She's like, I'm getting a nomination.
I think I'm going to hedge McLaughlin, and it's for a slightly different reason. She took that. She's on the right side, and she takes that with her right foot. That ball is curling away from that top post. I mean, the cross goal is beautiful. It's curling back in. I mean, I'm not going to say that helped her, but it certainly didn't hurt. I mean, I think going with the McLaughlin goal with that ball having to curl away for her to be able to beat the keeper and still keep that on frame is so impressive to me.
Mm-hmm. So that voting poll is still open. Currently, Erie Commodores are really taking it right now. They've got 57% of the votes. So if you are like Kayla and think McLaughlin deserves it, get over there and vote. If you want Jackie Richards of the Inferno to get it, go over there and vote. And then Wanamaker of the San Antonio Athenians, head over and get your votes in for week 4 goal of the week. And let's move into our current week. And we've had some midweek matchups going on already. And Kayla, we're going to play a little bit of a game. You know, I'm leading the show this week. Jonathan's not here. And I'm bringing in shock or no shock. So I'm going to tell you the score of these midweek matchups. We don't have all of them in. So if you're watching and you haven't submitted your scores, make sure you're getting those to your commissioners so we can give you all the attention that you deserve. We want to cover you. But yeah, shock or no shock. Here we go. On Wednesday, June 15th, New Jersey Copa 0, Paisley Athletic 2. Shock or no shock?
We kind of already talked about this one a little bit. This is a no shock considering Paisley has been in all of these results. It was bound to happen.
Agreed. Friday, June 17th, Keystone FC 1, New Jersey Copa 2. Shock or no shock?
Can I go halfway shock? I mean, I'm not entirely shocked, but it's also you don't exactly expect that result. I want to go kind of a hedge the middle, halfway shocked.
Okay. Keeping it on Friday because no more days have passed after Friday. Paisley Athletic 1, Coppermine 2. Shock or no shock?
No shock at all. Coppermine is just ridiculous.
Yeah, Coppermine with that are now sat at 5-0. Perfect record, 15 points. They are just one goal behind the Infernos. So Mid-Atlantic is getting very, very close. That was a must-win game for them.
Yep.
And, they lived up to it. No pressure. They took it in their stride. And it's exciting to see this Mid-Atlantic division get very close. Next up, we had Illinois Premier 0, St. Louis Scott Gallagher 20. Shock or no shock?
I mean, if I said no shock, that's a lie. Anytime you see a score line like that, and we talked about this just a little bit. The thing about the Illinois Premier, they have players on this team. That's just in general, their season's been a bit of a shock for me because just looking at the roster, looking at what these players have done before, I'm just shocked.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I kind of feel that those players probably have never experienced a season like this in their life. And so it must be really, really difficult mentally to bounce back from that. I think that result puts it as the biggest score margin of the season. However, I do want to talk about St. Louis Scott Gallagher real quick before we'll pause shock on a shock. Okay, I know everybody's loving the game. They kind of needed a 20-goal differential here because they are on the heels of the Mustangs. And so with those 20 goals, they now have a goal difference of 32. And the Mustangs have a goal difference of 38. So I kind of feel like St. Louis Scott Gallagher went into this game against Illinois Premier saying, we can't just win. We need as many goals as possible if we want to get out of the Midwest Division.
I'm just going to, let's suspend a little bit more shock and no shock. Can we just talk about the fact that the Mustangs have only given up 1 goal this year?
Right at the start.
Oh my gosh. I mean, this is one of those weird ones because, you look at the standings. Scott Gallagher, obviously, they had their 20 goal. Oh, bless their hearts. But I mean, they're 4-1. They're tied on points. They're just behind on goal differential now with 32. That's dumb. And you kind of have to feel because RBFC Elite, they're not having a great time. Illinois Premier. Indiana is kind of in purgatory right now.
Yeah.
They're not winning games by 20.
Yeah, there's a lot of range in this division, and a division with 5 teams in it. You've got 2 who are soaring, you've got 2 who are sinking, and then you've got 1 who's just staying afloat. And it's really difficult to know how this compares out of this division. Are those 2 sinking teams probably better off in UWS 2? Or if they were in another division, would they be fine? And Chicago Mustangs and St. Louis Scott Gallagher are just next level. It's so hard to know until we can get these teams out of their division and playing those cross games. So that remains to be seen.
Didn't they? Now I could be misremembering, but I'm pretty sure that Mustangs and Gallagher played, and it was just a 1. It was basically like a 2-1 or a 1-0. Yeah,
it was a 2-1 game. Yeah, and heads up, in a couple of hours, the 2 teams will be facing off again. So we'll get to that. We'll give you a preview of it, but it's gonna be epic. That we know. heading back over to shock or no shock, we had CT Rush 1, Albany Rush 2. Shock or no shock?
A little bit of a shock. Just a little bit of one. Not necessarily. I mean, I don't know. This was just kind of one of those results that it was sort of expected. This is kind of one of those hedge it a little bit, I guess.
Right.
I
It's
don't
the
know.
New England division.
Yeah, I
The
mean,
games
they're
are tight.
close.
Yeah, the games are tight, but I would err in the way of Albany Rush. They're having a pretty solid season. Just trying to play chase up to the Mutiny, and we'll see if they can do it. They got to just keep grinding out results, and at this point, they kind of need to hope that the Mutiny slip up. Whether they do or not remains to be seen.
Yeah.
Moving on over to the Southwest, Wilco 1, Luxoria 0. Shock or no shock?
I mean, I don't know. This is just one of those. This is a Luxoria team that I in my mind preseason built them up to be way up here, and it's really not a shock. It's just I didn't think that. I think the bigger shock to me is that they're so close in the standings.
Uh-huh.
This is because it's still a short season, so it's still hard for me to dissociate what I thought preseason to now, because we're still only like 5 games in. It's still, if we were looking at a Prem or even a EFL championship where you have like 40 matches, 5 matches is nothing.
Yeah. For me, this was, I think, going into it, leaning in Luxoria's favor. So was it a shock? Again, it's a hard one. It's kind of like that one on the fence, because while I lent in the way of Luxoria, I'm not shocked that Wilco won, because they're two mid-table teams in this Southwest division that's very competitive. And that result takes Wilco up above Luxoria and puts Wilco in that 3rd spot. FC Austin Elite now in 2nd, and the Athenians in 1st, just based on the amount of games played. So sitting on the same points, goal difference, puts the Athenians on top there, because the Athenians last night played against the San Antonio Runners, and that game finished San Antonio Runners 0, Athenians 3. Shock or no shock?
No shock. I mean, it's a good team, man. They're so good.
Yeah, totally agree. Athenians are a solid team, and I think going into that matchup, the River Walk rivalry, I'm going to say it slow.
I'm not even going to try.
Yeah, it's a tough tongue twister. If you haven't seen their TikTok where they did it, go check that out, because it's a funny one. But yeah, totally agree, Harry. It's not a shock. I think San Antonio have it on the Riverwalk rivalry for this year, but you never know. Next year, I think the Runners will be back with a vengeance. Yep. So let's now move in. That's all our midweek matchups that we have the scores for. So let's move into this weekend. Kaylor, what game has caught your attention?
Well, I mean, it's kind of hard not to look back out at the West. You want to kind of see how SC Blue Heat and FC Arizona match up. I mean, that's one I want to see. How are Blue Heat going to bounce back? Is Arizona that good? But that's not really the one that I have my closest eye on now. With some of the recent news with Pensacola, this Atlanta Panthers versus Atlanta Fire, this becomes huge, because I love my Birmingham squad, but they're kind of out of it, right? So this is a city derby that is going to decide. These next 2 matchups between these two are going to decide who goes to nationals.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. crosstown rivalry, that is always exciting. I mean, we talked about it with the Riverwalk one, then I'm not going to say the rest of it because it's just too much at the moment. I've said it enough.
Rival week.
I need more coffee before I try and say it again. But what is the rivalry called here? Is it just like the Atlanta Derby? Like, somebody send in a comment, let me know. But yeah, this is going to be epic. Both these teams have a lot on the line when it's a massive city in Atlanta. And I'm very, very interested to see how much the stands fill up for this game, because I'm really hoping that they've been able to promote this game locally and get some local like youth teams coming to it, because yeah, this game means a lot for this conference.
Yeah, I mean, just all things considered with, what's going on down in Pensacola. I mean, a win here for the Fire, I mean, if I'm doing math correctly, which math has never been my strong suit, I mean, they're in first. A win here, they're in first. Their first season in this league. That's huge. And Panthers, they're going to have to be looking across town saying, we can't let them beat us. This is not just a battle to find out who goes to nationals, because if Panthers win here, this is their division. They've won it all. They're going to nationals. If Fire go out there, this is going to come down to the last game of the season, and that's going to be electric.
Yeah, a lot on the line in UWS terms, in Atlanta, Georgia terms, for the community too, just promoting the game. It's going to be awesome. What an opportunity for those players to just increase awareness of the sport, promote the sport, show the talent that they have in Atlanta. I'm really, really excited for this one. And I think it's 60 tonight. I believe it's 6:30 tonight that you can catch that one. 11 Sports will have it. The game that has caught my attention, let me pull it up here, is we haven't really spoke much on this division so far. The Heartland division. We've got Gretna Elite taking on KC Courage. This is a 2:00 kickoff today in Omaha, Nebraska. KC Courage, second place. They're making the trip from Kansas City to Nebraska, and they're taking on the third place Gretna Elite. Now, in shock or no shock, actually, I didn't have this result, but FC Wichita drew 1-1 with Sporting Nebraska midweek. And so that means if KC Courage wins, they can take the top spot of the division. And if Gretna Elite wins, they will put themselves within 1 point of FC Wichita. And depending on goal difference, how this game goes down, Gretna Elite wins by enough, they could take second place.
Yeah.
This is a lot riding on this game. Now, these two teams played each other earlier in the season on May 27th in Kansas City, and the Courage came out on top with a 3-1 victory. Courtney Clarkson scored 2 goals in that game and has scored 7 goals so far this season, putting her amongst the top of the UWS for goals. But also Gretna Elite has Ariana Mondiri, and she's been amongst the goal scoring too with 7 goals herself, and was recently named Offensive Player of the Week in week 3. But then KC Courage have been amongst the awards too. They had Shula Reese earning Defensive Player of the Week in week 4. And that was for her contributions both defensively and in the final third, because she got on the score sheet too. So this is going to be an epic matchup.
Just so much sporting going on in Omaha right now. I mean, Men's College World Series going on down there. There's a big USL League One rivalry going on down there today. And then you have this massive matchup. I said it last week. I know we haven't given this division, its flowers fully, but I said it last week. This is my favorite division to pay attention to. There's so many teams. They're playing so many games, and this is just these top 3 teams, and you can even put a Sporting Nebraska and a Side FC a bit in that conversation, as they're not too far off the pace of Gretna either.
Right.
This is just a tough division that FC Wichita, it looked like they were destined to win it. FC Courage or FC, wow, KC Courage has just gone out there and just answered the bell every single time, and Gretna is not far off at all.
Yeah, this division is seriously crazy. So just to recap, we've got FC Wichita currently having played 6 games, 13 points. And then KC Courage, 5 games, 12 points. Granite Elite, 5 games, 9 points. Sporting Nebraska, 5 games, 7 points. Side FC, 6 games, 7 points. So yeah, we're talking that whole top half is just insanely close. And totally agree with what you're saying, Kayla. FC Wichita started with that perfect 3-0 record, and you kind of thought, okay, like they're here for business. Have they just got this flying start and they're just going to continue to soar? But KC Courage are not going down without a fight. They have been so good this year, and last year they were playing really good, but they just weren't getting those results. And I feel like they were that team that you thought, you're not achieving what you should be achieving. And I feel like they knew it, and they've come back this year with a vengeance. They're ready to go. Gretna Elite, incredible club. They've got a really great organization, excellent players. They're not going down without a fight. I see this being, like you say, a 5-team race, but those top 3 teams, really, really tight race.
Yeah, just one player. I mean, I kind of have to balance you out a little bit with the love of goals, but talk about someone who can pick one out of the net if they need to. I mean, Kalen Williams, only 3 goals against, 15 saves. If we're looking at a old hockey stat where they talk about just save percentages and stuff like that, she has a dang good one. And very talented player from Eastern Michigan. And she is such a talented footballer. I think that you're going to see her playing somewhere at a higher level very soon. She is just that kind of talent.
Yes, totally agree. Watch this space because, yeah, there's going to be a lot of UWS players that are moving on to the pro ranks, and that's a really exciting thing. Another game that's catching my eye, and we kind of touched on it a little bit, is that Chicago Mustangs versus St. Louis Scott Gallagher. 11 a.m. Central Time. This is going to be kicking off. So it's not long until kickoff now, people.
Yeah, it's seeing their results, especially Chicago Mustangs, where they are they haven't been in any games this year, and it's not even in the sense of they're bad. They have been blowing everybody out so much that they haven't had to play a game except for their first one of the season against Scott Gallagher, where it was a 2-1 win. This is going to be a real battle to see who is kind of the better of the bunch, because first game of the season, what can you take away from that? Is that a team finding its legs? Is it this team is really just that good? What are we looking at here? I think this is going to tell you a lot about a lot. And I think that this is going to be one of those situations that when you have 2 teams that are such cream of the crop, I think you're going to be able to tell maybe whoever wins here what they might be able to do at nationals.
Yeah, completely agree. I think that this game for St. Louis Scott Gallagher, they kind of have a little bit to prove since they lost that first one way back at the start of the season. I think they're also they've already started making their statement to the Mustangs to be like, watch out, we're coming, with their midweek thumping. They're ready to score some goals. They're ready to come back and earn that win. And they need to win this.
Yes.
Must win game. So it's going to be epic. In this game, you've also got playing Mallory Olsen for the Mustangs, who is joint top goal scorer for the UWS, and then Nina Niskosha, who is leading the UWS in assists. So it's going to be really interesting to watch these two play against a tough side, because with those blowouts, it's not a shock that they're finding themselves at the top, leading the goals, leading the assists. But how can they perform under the pressure of a huge game and against a really good side in St. Louis Scott Gallagher? So it's going to be interesting.
The thing that impresses me about Mallory Olsen, even though she's wearing the number 9, as we've kind of, I guess, seen throughout the recent years, squad numbers just don't mean anything anymore. I'm not bitter about it. But she doesn't really play completely up top. She is kind of playing that cam role. She is not exactly their out-and-out striker every single game. And she's able to get into these spaces where they can feed her in. Sometimes she is making a run, through the middle and they feed her, on through ball. But we see a lot of times where she's just making the late run, finding a space and picking her spot. She is such an impressive and just such a smart player to watch.
Yeah, 100%. You can see her intelligence when she plays because she picks up those spaces, like you say. And she's so versatile because she can be that out and out 9 player. She's very strong. She can be a target forward. She can be running in behind, because she's fast enough too. And she likes to get on the ball. So she doesn't just want to be like controlling it in the air or just running in behind. She wants to find those spaces, get on the ball and do something, create something herself. So yeah, we had Mallory on the show last year and she's an awesome person too. So yeah, love for Mallory Olsen. Is there any other games, Kayla, that is catching your attention for this weekend?
I mean, I said I was going to, kind of move away from it, but it does need to be talked about. I mean, it is going to be that FC Arizona versus Blue Heat. You see this FC Arizona team who has come out, rocking at full cylinder. They have kind of come out and made a statement. We were like, ooh, they're playing games late. We don't know how they're going to be. This is this tough division, and FC Arizona did not care. They just did not care. Came out winning, and this is a Blue Heat team that needs to have a little bit of a check of themselves. Like, are we the team that we think we are? We're sitting second? We haven't felt this in a long time. This is going to be a two different mentalities going in. You have one team who feels like they're, really showing it to somebody, the chip on their shoulder. People may have counted us out because we didn't start with everybody else, versus a team of, we were top of the world and we got dethroned. How do we get back?
Yeah, there's so many different outlooks that you can take and approaches that you can take when looking at this game. Like, is FC Arizona thinking, Blue Heat just lost. Maybe they aren't as good. And are they going to be slightly more complacent given that SC Blue Heat's winning streak has now been snapped? Or are they like extra hyped because they think that, okay, they are beatable now? Like, there's so many different approaches for this game. For me, if I was playing in it for either team, it's forget everything that's happened in the past. Forget everything. Titles mean nothing. Previous results mean nothing. We go into this game and we get 3 points. No matter which team I'm on, that would be my outlook, because this game is really, really important for this West Conference.
This is
needs to get back to winning ways. Sorry. Go ahead, Kayla.
I've noticed this before, but I decided to go look at this, just the entire rosters for both teams. It needs to be said how big this FC Arizona roster is. They can field almost 3 teams.
Really?
Yes. It is an insane roster that they have here. I wonder if this is maybe also academy players being included here, but holy cow, it was a bit shocking. But this is also one of those situations that when you're playing out in Arizona, you're playing out in SoCal, even when you go up to Calgary, these are dry places. These are places that are going to just whoop your butt when it comes to just tiring you out. It's hot, it's dry. You have to hydrate so much more. If they need to rotate a team, they can do that.
Yeah, and I'm just pulling up that roster right now, and I had the same thought when you said it to me, Kayla, that they have a huge roster. I'm like, oh, they're a really big club. They probably have academy players. But you look at the colleges that these girls are playing at, and I'm not seeing anybody who I wouldn't want in my starting lineup. So
Yeah.
the competition that FC Arizona must have at their practices indicates to me that they are ready and they are, exactly like you say, able to get that rotation in so they have those fresh legs. And so when they have that late start and a slightly more condensed schedule, might not be such a big deal to them.
I kind of had this team on my radar a little bit because I knew about Molly Baker because she was down at LSU, kind of in that SEC space that I live in. And she's ridiculous for LSU, and she is showing out with FC Arizona now, too. I mean, like you said, like when I first started looking through, I'm like, surely these are just all academy people, but almost everybody is at a university. Almost every single one of these people are not just at a university, they are at premier universities. I these yeah, like you said, these inter squad matches might be some of the hardest matches they play all year.
Yeah, this is going to be a really, really exciting game. So make sure you're tuning into that one. Let me just pull up that kickoff time for you. That is
7:30,
kicking
right?
off, yes, 7:30. So definitely make sure you're watching that one. And another game that's catching my attention for this weekend is on Sunday, kicking off at 1 p.m. FC Berlin versus Erie Commodores. So we're moving back over to the east. Erie is going into the weekend behind FC Buffalo. They're unbeaten with a 2-0-3 record. So they have tied 3 games. But this is that division where I'm pretty sure it's got the most ties in the UWS. FC Buffalo are playing FC Berlin. And then, oh my gosh, sorry, I'm totally lost. Last game, FC Buffalo lit up and won 5-0, kind of making that statement and really putting that pressure on Erie Commodores to come out against FC Berlin and get those 3 points. But is FC Berlin going to come back having lost 5-0 to Buffalo and have a point to prove against Erie, making it a lot tougher for Erie to get those 3 points? I feel like this division, my brain often gets confused when I try and talk about it because I'm like FC Berlin, FC Buffalo, and they all just have these similar names. They have similar results. They're tying, they're beating each other by 1 goal. It's so close. That 5-0 win by FC Buffalo was quite a shock in the sense that that's the first time we've seen a big win in that division. And that really puts the pressure on Erie to come out on Sunday against FC Berlin and light it up.
Yeah, and this is just one of those matchups. You're looking at, even Erie had a little bit of a wobble against Rochester. And this is a good Rochester team, but when you're talking about Erie, this is just kind of going into preseason. You don't think this is a team that is only 2 points better. Uh, I don't know. This is definitely a big one. I'm excited to see who can just kind of recover. Who, because we've seen it so many times in this division, like except for maybe 1 or 2 times, one team's going to score. Like both teams are definitely going to score.
Yes.
This, but the thing is they've always been competitive. But is this going to be a situation where a team lets in, I don't know, like 3, and then they're going to get 2 goals back, just like we saw earlier with Paisley? Or is this going to be a situation, yeah, are we going to get another 5-0? Because whenever you're in one of these must-win matches and you go behind by 1, man, that is so hard to dig yourself out of that mental hole.
Yeah. Yeah, this is going to be really tough. This Penn New York division, you've got FC Buffalo sitting on 10 points, Erie second place, 9 points, Rochester Lancers third place, 7 points. So those top three teams really, really close. And FC Berlin and Pittsburgh Hotspurs are both yet to win, but like we say, they do score. They do give every team a run for their money. No game is easy in this Penn New York division. So that's going to be an exciting one to watch on Sunday, kicking off at 1 p.m. Now, Kayla, any more matches that you're looking forward to? Any last thoughts or comments before we head on out and let everybody get themselves a snack? Get to the food trucks if you're going to the game, because so many teams have awesome concessions this season, and get ready for the summer of soccer.
I mean, I got two thoughts. The first one being about this Pensacola situation with, if people had not heard, Pensacola kind of withdrew from the UWS. They have ceased their women's operations, at least in the UWS realm. That's just, I'm so disappointed. This is a thing that if this is what you've been thinking about doing, do it preseason. You have to tell not just the league, but your players. You've been stringing along players forever at this point, thinking that they're going to play. And now it's too late to find a summer league. This is a summer of development with a high level club that's just kind of gone. It's really frustrating to me, but also think about teams like FC Birmingham or Atlanta Fire or Panthers, where they were looking forward to two more matches against a top tier team. Now, teams like FC Birmingham, they've already played all four of their matches. They have no more matches as of now. They are going to be scrambling to find friendlies, which aren't exactly the easiest thing to do in June. They're just not. It's just really frustrating to me. And we see this a lot of times, and not just the women's space, but just in the lower league football space, where teams just kind of disappear out of nowhere. But man, that's just so difficult to watch. The other thing that I kind of wanted to, or unless you had something you want to talk about with that.
Yeah, just with that, again, really disappointing for all the players involved, for the UWS to have to handle this in the middle of the season when, there's so many games going on that everybody is trying to watch. And then you've got this one happening down, like ordeal happening down in that Southeast Division. Really, really hope that FC Birmingham are able to find some friendlies, that these other teams are able to find some friendlies. I know that everybody is working super hard to make sure that this situation does not affect the players too much and the development of it. We take things in our stride and we move forward. But yeah, disappointing and frustrating news for sure.
And the last little thing I wanted to talk about is, before I kind of talked about Pride Month and making sure that everybody is included, don't forget tomorrow, people, not only just Father's Day, but it's also Juneteenth. Hey, clubs, if we know that there are clubs and GMs and presidents and coaches that have watched this, make a big deal of that. I mean, you have players who are not of just, African American, but just all diversity. This is going to be, if you make a big deal about this, hey, that's going to make everybody on your team feel so much more included. And plus, it's an important thing to make light of. And then, like I said, it's also Father's Day. So, hey, shout out to all the girl dads out there. If you're, if hey, kids, go give your parents a big hug if you can. If you're a dad out there, hey, spend some time with the kids today, or sleep in. You deserve it. Do whatever. Appreciate the people around you, and let's have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.
Yes, I love that. I feel like that was such a great final speech that I just want to say ditto. Like, you just said everything. We're all about inclusion here at the UWS. So yeah, when we can take these moments to highlight key things that are going on, I think it's so important we use our platform to spread positivity and share our love of soccer through all different methods. Thank you, everybody who has joined us. Different show without Jonathan being here, but we're so glad that you guys have enjoyed it. Thank you, Kaylor, for waking up and speaking all things soccer with me this morning. Thank you to everybody who joined us. Thank you to all of our sponsors down there. We love you all. And get on 11 Sports. Get out to some games. Let's enjoy this weekend. We'll be back with a recap show, and they're back next Saturday for the kickoff show. We'll see you soon. Enjoy the summer of soccer.
I'm a part of UWS because of the opportunity it provides women.
Because it provided me the competition and exposure I needed to get to where I am today.
Because financial transparency is important to me.
Because at its core and within its leadership, it is truly dedicated to the promotion of the women's game.
Because of the competitive pathway it provides female players and coaches.
Because it expands the pathway of our club and offers more opportunities for players to develop.
Because I too support women in sports.
Because of the people. I love competing at a high level with some awesome teammates and getting to compete against people around the country.
Because it provides female athletes with a much needed platform to remain in the game in a professional setting.
Because it's the best summer league in the whole country. There's no question about it.
Because of the commitment to diversity for the players, coaches, and administrators of the UWS.
Because I like the opportunity to compete at such a high level and the advancement of the women's game.
I am a part of UWS because I believe in its vision and its leadership.